Well,
conversation
my
goes from
name
there.
is Laura Pittman. I live in Indian Trail, North Carolina, which is outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I teach at a
Hmm.
studio in Indian Trail named Core Studio Pilates. And I have been there for going on 11 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're just like
I'm
a
an OG.
staple in there. Like you're just like,
Yeah, I
yeah, you're an OG.
no,
Is there a
it
lot of
really
turnaround
isn't. The
or
only turnaround has been when an instructor has had
turnover?
to move out of the city. But we are a little family. I've been there. There was Jill Henson started Core Studio Pilates, I guess 10, 11 years ago, and it was her
Mhm.
and I and another instructor.
Okay.
That instructor, she moved to Wilmington. So right now we have a few other ones, but there's not a lot of turnaround. Our clients have been with us for almost 10 years as well. I've got a few that are my OGs as well. So we're like a little family up there, which we like.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. We're talking about like clients the other day here, just in the
Hmm.
gym, like people that we've had for a long time. We have a new trainer who's joined our squad here,
Hmm.
and he's had people for like 6 years, 7 years, sort of thing.
Yes.
And it's like you have the sense of pride, right? These people are
Hmm.
choosing to stay with you. It's such a privilege to be able to walk with
Yes. And
people on
we
their
even
fitness
moved
journey.
locations and they
For
all came with us. So that was very humbling and very grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, as a personal trainer too,
Hmm.
like I've had people who have
Yes.
like
Yes.
followed me from gym to gym to gym, right? And they're
Yes. I
just like
love it.
they're your lifers. Yeah. So in those situations, like, do you have a lot of
So
privates or more
we
classes like
do a
in your
mix.
setting?
So I teach some privates, I teach some duets, and I teach we do group equipment classes. So with those, we put up to 5 people in
Yeah.
a class together. So we keep our classes small. And the way we have it set up is our
Yeah.
clients are on a consistent schedule. So they come, whatever time they come, that is their time each week until they no longer want it. So it just, lets them be more
Yes.
consistent. And then, the group equipment, they form this little family. Like I've had my night crew for about 10 years now. So they've kind of become a little family, and so sometimes it's hard to
Nice.
get like,
That's
new one in,
awesome.
but they're always,
Yeah.
very welcoming to it. So we teach a little bit of everything. Right now, I don't do a lot of
Yeah.
group classes just because of spacing. But I'll teach, bar on the weekends,
Yes.
just, in between the soccer schedule. And I am,
Yes.
Wednesdays, trying to start a group equipment for a prenatal and a separate postnatal class. So I've got some new classes coming on the horizon.
Very cool. Nice. So Laura, I want to talk about, so you just said something that's kind of sparked my thinking. I did a vlog yesterday where I was
Hmm.
talking about micro communities, right? And in like that whole sense of like, we have our larger communities,
Hmm.
like your the Pilates people in your city, and then your classes, and it goes down from there. And there's a difference between a niche,
Hmm.
like a clique,
Hmm.
no one's
Yes,
welcome, and a
exactly.
micro community. Yeah. Um, so I just kind of just in my head kind of unpacking that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So can we
So
just think out
I'll
loud
be honest.
along those
I
concepts
feel
for
like
a second?
sometimes the Pilates world, if you don't do their certain modality, they're like, oh, you're wrong. I have been subject to that. So at our studio, we just try to have a nice welcoming environment. It's our safe spot. What goes on there stays there. Clients confide in us. Some clients aren't, confident or comfortable at first. So we just really try to make a really nice, inviting environment. And because we've done that, our clients are also the same. Like I'll have a new person walk in, and the client I just stopped with, they will introduce themselves, they'll welcome them in, they make them feel comfortable. So we really take pride in that because trying something new can be uncomfortable, it can be scary. So we just, at our
Absolutely.
studio, we're not gossipy, we're not, cliquey, everyone's welcome. And it's just one big little family, which we love. Sometimes we're a little too close to our clients, but again, I like having those relationships. They'll text me, random things, which I love.
Yes.
And, we know each other on a personal basis, both ways, which I also think helps them feel more
Right.
comfortable and more at ease to, be there and accomplish their goals,
And
whatever they may
yeah,
be. Exactly.
and more invested, right? Like, yeah. Yeah, I used to say as a personal trainer, like it's easy to leave your client, or it's easy
Hmm.
to leave your
Hmm.
trainer, but it's really hard to leave your
Yeah, and I feel
friend,
like, yeah,
right? So
we
you
have
build
that
those
doubleness,
relationships, and yeah, you're
we
totally at
help
that
them,
point.
they help us. A lot of our
Hmm.
clients have small businesses, so we're always referring them out. So, we're just a little community,
Okay,
which I love, especially after COVID. I think community is very important. And I'm so glad we're back to it.
that's so key. Right. All right. Have you had to have times where you had to like pull that tough love, like a parent, like, hey, we don't do that in here, like no gossip, like had to like lower the hammer to maintain that
Honestly,
safe
we
space for
don't
people?
have a big problem with it. I mean, obviously we do, but
Nice.
I'm a little blunt, and sometimes I just have the look, and they know. And a lot of times, if they say something, I just move on. Like I just move on, and pretend exactly. I
Don't
don't
give it
get into it.
airtime.
So
Yeah.
we've been, and it has happened in the past, definitely. But we just kind of try to keep things moving.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So 10 years in the same studio.
Yep. And I'm not
Um,
leaving anytime soon.
that is, yeah, that's great. So for the people out here who are working in a studio and have like 2 years in, already thinking about open my own space or doing my own thing, what is it about that culture that is
Um,
conducive to you staying
I
that long?
It is a very family oriented studio. We don't bring our kids to the studio, but Jill, the owner, she is very family oriented. She wants you to have time with your kids. I was able to, set up my schedule a little bit. So right now I'm trying to find that balance. Um, and it's just a great atmosphere. I've got to be able to pick my schedule. I've got great clients. The
Mhm.
location is great. The instructors up there were all family, so it's just this nice family oriented, you know studio where we're not just robots, which I love.
Right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's
Yes.
talk about your mommy lattes
So
class and what's going on with that. I love your
thank
smile
you.
just came on your
Yeah,
face. Like you're
that is
super
my
excited about this.
passion.
Yeah,
And honestly, it's had to stop and go.
absolutely.
I started teaching Pilates when my oldest was about a year old. So I've had to start and stop.
Mhm.
My kids are all 2 years apart, so I've had to kind of stop, start. So it's been my passions with it. I feel like after my first child, I didn't know what to do afterwards. I just, did what I did. And then, I really got in, that's
Mhm.
when I really got into my Pilates practice. And when I was pregnant, or after my second, that's when I got certified in pre and postnatal specialist. I just feel like there's such
Okay. Yep.
a need for it because especially on the postnatal side, like after birth, your
Mhm.
body essentially has gone through trauma. It's not the same. Everything's different. Everything feels different. You have a newborn. So I feel like there's such a need to help women, kind of get back to themselves, to kind of, repair their body. I'm not one that, I'm like quick fix, or,
Yes.
get your, old body back. Exactly. Your
Get back into
body
your
has
skinny
changed.
jeans in
Mine
six
has. I
weeks
had three
type
kids. I was able
talk.
to birth and,
Yeah.
house three beautiful kids. So I understand. I've had two hard births, one peaceful birth. So I've kind of seen it all. I've breastfed, I've bottle fed, I've done all the things. So I'm very non-judgmental about it. Where I'm in all these, mom groups where a lot of times they're very one way. It's very black and white. I like to see the middle
Absolutely.
ground because I've done
Yep.
basically a little bit of
Mhm.
everything. Hey, Jill.
Hey, Jill.
I thought she was teaching.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
you know.
There you go. I sent her a message. Um, but so now, were you like physically active before? Were
Hmm.
you working out? Were you doing your things before your first
Yeah.
child,
So
and you
I've
found the
always
Pilates was
dabbled in
yeah.
Pilates. I have rotoscoliosis. So my spine is in an S and it's twisted. I have a curve up top and below. I wore a back brace to prevent
Mhm.
surgery in middle school. So I've always dabbled in Pilates. I've always been
Okay.
active. Pilates has helped with my back pain. And honestly, my husband thought, if I ever got pregnant, I'd be on bed rest. Never was because, I did my Pilates, especially with the second two, I was doing the group equipment Pilates. So I was very active, and then
Yes.
I really honed in to my Pilates after I gave birth the first time. because, you know, I had kind of dabbled and I found the modality that I liked, and then really got into the pre and postnatal Pilates from there. And, you know, I've had to repair my body 3 times. So
Yeah.
I know the feeling, and it's slow and steady, but that's also Pilates, which is what I like.
Right. So then what's your thoughts? Like, I've had people on and they talk about like that rhetoric of get your body back, or, you know, like the skinny jeans talk, stuff like that. Like, can you just talk to that and just the
Yes,
mindset that comes
I
with that?
have a different mindset. I feel like society, you know, wants women to be this certain way. We have to bounce back like the celebrities, you know, in 6 weeks. That is not the case. You know, like I said, your body, you know, it took 9 months to grow that baby. Then you birth it, and, you know, that's a little traumatic to your body. So it does take time. So I just remind my clients to be patient, because they'll be hard on themselves. I was, but I'm also there to remind them, you know, it took 9 months.
For sure.
You're doing great. You know, and honestly, the girls, the women that do prenatal with me, they're 10 steps ahead when they do their postnatal with me, because their body has that muscle memory. But even if they didn't do prenatal, postnatal, I think there's such a big need for that. So I just, you know, encourage them, take it slow, take it easy. I mean, you're tired, you've got a newborn, maybe other kids, because when my youngest was born, let me see, they were 4, 2, and newborn. So I get it. I get it. Yeah, it was busy.
No,
and we planned that,
you.
you know, and then when we did, I was like, oh, you know, 384. It was busy. But we're all happy and healthy and alive after that year.
Yeah.
You just got to give yourself
you live to
extra
tell,
grace,
right?
you know?
Like, my kids, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there really just has to be like the management of expectations for yourself. That you know, there are so many different factors that tie into that, right? That you can't just look at it as calories in, calories out, or number of workouts per week, and just like you're automatically gonna be there. What does your sleep look like? What does your mental health look like? What does your support system look like? All these different things. Like, there's so many factors around. Like, we're just talking in the context of pregnancy, but anyone coming into our space, you know, we need to just take time with all of those different elements and look at what those real expectations can be, right? So
try not to be like, oh, you know, it's summertime, you know, let's do this. You know, we've done that in the past, but we're at a point where, you know, we want you to be healthy. We want you to be strong. We work with a lot of different clients, you know, elderly, cancer patients, you know, athletic men and women. So, you know, we just take it, you know, we look at each body individually, because we're all so different. And, you know, I look at that with especially the postnatal, because, you know, some have a diastasis recti, some don't. Some have, you know, pelvic floor issues. Some don't. So everyone's different. So, you know, I really try to look at the individual themselves and their body and meet them where they're at. You know, I don't want to take them, you know, where they don't want to go, because A, it's discouraging, B, it's not safe. And you just want to meet the body where it's at and honor it.
Absolutely. You know, and even with just meeting the body where they're at, from the personal training side of things, from the fitness side, like, I stopped like even weighing people a long time ago, right? Because that sense of like before and after pictures and these things that we throw out there, and we see it in the media as well, but then you see it just in the gym culture, like it can be very destructive to people. And I just think that we need to give space for everything. So now at the same time, we say that from the perspective of getting your body back in skinny jeans or getting beach ready. For the person who comes in that wants to be beach ready and wants to get 6-pack, like, I almost don't want to shame that person for feeling bad about having those goals too. It's like, okay, that's your goal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I feel like our culture's gone so far to one side. The fit person's like,
but, you know, you can be fit
like,
and
you know what I
still
mean?
have
Like,
underlying issues. You know, I feel like we all have somebody. So, and I am terrible to compare. Like, I'll get on Instagram and compare, and, you know, get imposter syndrome. So, I mean, that is real. So I just try to, you know, treat my clients how I would want to be treated, you know. And I've always said, if I would treat myself the way I do my kids and my clients, I'd be golden.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say earlier when we were talking about like with your different pregnancy clients, like, from my experience with clients in here, my female clients who are athletes are always the toughest ones to work with through their pregnancy, because they're so hyper aware of their body and every change and
Mm-hmm.
every drop in
Yes, and
energy and all
sometimes you
those
have to like
different things,
rein them
right? So
in, because what I do,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Yeah.
train you to give birth. Like birth is a marathon. So we do Pilates a little bit different. It's more to help you prepare for birth while we're still getting strong. And there's some things that you need to be more aware of. So sometimes the very fit, active, you just have to rein them in a little bit. And it's almost like rehab-ish for them, which is also a really good compliment to what they're already
Yes.
doing, because, they know their body best, especially since they've been active
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. But yeah, sometimes you just got to rein them in
Right.
kind of
Right.
gently, like it was
Exactly.
their idea. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. The mind
Yes.
games, the ninja tricks. Well, it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a recovery day for them, right? Because they're
Mm-hmm.
so used to pushing hard, hard, hard. So okay, no, this
Mm-hmm.
is your intentional recovery day, sort of thing, as opposed to this is
Mm-hmm.
your day to push
Yeah,
the
and I
envelope.
special in
Let's
diastasis recti. So
yeah.
with my prenatal, I am very
Do you?
cautious of the load, because your abs are going to stretch, causing that opening. So I teach them, we could
Mm-hmm.
plank, but here's how we're going to do it now, because post birth you'll be 10 steps ahead. And same thing, postpartum. Like I've had the gap,
Yes.
I know at least twice. I don't know if my first one, and they were in different spots, so I had to treat them and rehab it differently. One took longer, which was frustrating. I'm a Pilates instructor and I can't lift my head up, because with that's right that you can't do forward flexion.
Mm-hmm.
So, with one of mine, I can't remember which one, it was, 6 months head down, and it's frustrating as a Pilates instructor, but my clients
Yes.
luckily knew what I was doing. And because, I taught bar, mat, all the stuff pregnant. So they knew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that was kind of the topic yesterday, right? Like that could be
Hmm.
a point of
Hmm.
shame, right?
Yeah, and I just remind them, your body's a little different, and we're gonna get there. We're just doing it a little bit different, and I've had to remind myself that with my scoliosis, I can't do real good extension like some of my clients do. But and I tell my clients, I said, not every exercise is meant for everyone. So they all understand that, and I understand their bodies, so not everyone does everything perfect. Which I thought, back in the day, Pilates instructors had to do everything perfect. And luckily,
Right.
my trainer, my mentor, told us not every exercise is meant for everybody. So yeah, I've been there with my scoliosis, with my
Mm-hmm.
prenatal, my postnatal. I've been there.
Right. Now, when it comes to like the pelvic floor issues to that come with pregnancy, I train Pilates instructors, and she has a sister studio that we work with out in Orangeville, and she's saying that she's seeing more and more
Mm-hmm.
misdiagnosis or overdiagnosis of pelvic floor issues, sort of thing like that. So, can you speak to that? Like, do you find that that's like from physiotherapists and stuff like that? Like, there's a lot of just like pelvic floor. It's got to be a pelvic floor. That's sort of thing. When it
I
may
think
not
pelvic floor
necessarily be that.
education is not as well known. Women think incontinence is normal. Oh, I've had a baby. This is normal. It is not normal. Even my husband, I will kind of, fuss at the TV about that, and he'll, nod his head because he understands. And, a lot of women, they don't understand that the pelvic floor, it's, sensitive, tissue. It's, like a hammock. It's holding everything up. And you've had all this, you've had baby, you've had extra fluid. So, you have all this pressure on your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor gets stretched during birth. And people don't understand that they also have to
Mm-hmm.
rehab that. So I, teach that in the, pretty much like the second, third session, because it's a weird concept to most. They're like, what are we doing? So I kind of ease them into that.
Right.
But I'll tell you, I have a client, like she would
Mm-hmm.
jump rope and she would have incontinence. She is proud to say that she does it. So those little victories are like
Yes.
the best thing. Like I want you to have an active, healthy lifestyle. And that's what we kind of preach, where I teach also. But I just think, we're just women, we're just
Right.
not
Right.
as informed about it. I didn't know about it until I went through my prenatal training, to be honest. It's just not well talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We're given 6 weeks and we're like, oh, here you go back to work, go do all the things. And I even went to my 6-week checkup with my second baby, and asked, hey, do I have a diastasis recti? And she said, yeah, which I knew I did. I just wanted to, see what she would say. That was it. no convo.
Right.
No convo about it. And I've
And
had
it's like,
clients
yes.
say, "Oh, my gyno said, I have diastasis recti and you do crunches." I'm like, "No, it's like the worst thing." So it's just, not well known. We're just told, "Hey, you've had your baby, get back to work, get back to life." Yeah, and so we
This
think
is your
these
lot in
ailments are
life.
normal, and they're not. So I like to help them with that as well.
So, what is your strategy to normalize the conversation
So
around that?
I just ask them. So I just, when they come in, if they didn't do my prenatal and they come in kind of postnatal, because that's just kind of where more of the, elements are is in the postnatal world. I just ask them, hey, do you have XYZ? Do you have any incontinence? And, if they're comfortable, they'll tell me. So, the first day I just, want them in there. I want them comfortable because they're always a little nervous. Their body's different. It feels different. They may never have done Pilates before, or if they have, or if they have,
the whole
it feels
movement practice is new as well on top of
when they were not pregnant or the prenatal. So the first session, I let them know. The first session I check them for diastasis recti. That's like my jam. And if they have it, I let them know. I let them know, hey, this is what we can't do. And it sounds like a lot of can'ts, but the way we do it in postnatal is we just modify. There's so much you can do because people hear, oh, you can't do forward flexion, you can't do anything. What's really sparked my interest in more flexion free like classes or workshops, because that can go to a whole multitude of other people, not just pre and postnatal. And then, I don't talk about the pelvic floor until like the second or third, because it's a weird concept. It's weird exercises. It's, right?
How do you open with that, right?
They would not come back. So first, I just want them to, learn how to do certain things, at home, so they're not aggravating their diastasis recti. So we're still healing. And, breathing is the first thing we do. And we spend a ton of time on it. Just the Pilates breathing is the best thing to do to fire into, rehab that transversus abdominis, to rehab that diastasis recti. So I spend a lot of time on breathing because, that's also a foreign concept sometimes too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, there's times when I sneak those exercises in, right? Like you don't have the long conversation, the long intro. You just like, and now we're doing this, or try this, or what would it feel like if we did this exercise and did this as well?
Into, like I say my non, pregnant postnatal clients, they have no idea. I've done it with the men. They have no idea. And they're like, oh, I love that. I'm like, thanks. That was prenatal. So, it allows me to have the extra tricks up my sleeve, because it goes across the board.
Yeah. Right. So let's talk prenatal with men.
It's a really small,
That's a
population.
good segue. It's a small population, but that's real talk. Diastasis recti is for real. Pelvic health is for real.
Yes, it is. And
with
I
men,
honestly have not explored it as much. My focus has been on the pre and postnatal women, but it is definitely an issue. Men, you have to kind of like rein them in a little bit. Because, a lot of times the men that come, they've been in the gym, they want to hit it hard, hard and fast. The first session, you just let them do it safely. Then you just slowly kind of rein them in. So I honestly haven't been able to explore that as much with the men, but it definitely is an issue. And I'm not sure if enough men are aware. But I do notice it, especially, when the bodybuilders, like I will notice, like, I'm like, you have a diastasis recti. Like, I mean, you got your six pack.
Right.
But, are you functional? Because I'd rather you be functional than.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, you'd think that it'd be older men per se, but no, it is like young guys who are bodybuilders who are like depending on a weight belt or like all those different things that tie into that. But what you're saying about even reining in, as we kind of get technical with our conversation here. Sorry, everybody, just kind of geeking out on movement for a moment. That breathing piece, like with guys, like you just come back to their breath. Even with exercise you've been doing, okay, with this exercise, we're going to pull it back and just breathe through it. That sort of thing. Like that's, once you can peel back the onions of any movement, and they can understand the foundations of it, and then you can build it back up. That's such a cool thing
and
to
I
see.
feel like it all starts with the breath. and then it goes from the movements. And now some people, they'll get a little hung up on when do I exhale? When do I inhale? And sometimes I'm like, y'all, just breathe. Because sometimes they'll just hold their breath. So I'm not a big stickler for, oh, you inhale here, exhale here. I will sometimes say, this is what I like, but try it this way. And, honestly, I teach my pre and postnatals opposite breath. Because a lot of times, we do a lot of squats, a lot of lunges. So especially with the squats, I'll have them inhale down, which normally people exhale down. But I want you to exhale, pull that pelvic floor, get those abs, get that inner thigh. So, we can, do things different, which is what I like about Pilates. Like as soon as you feel like you've learned a breath pattern, we can change it, make it feel different.
Yes. And that circles back to like training the person who's in front of you. And for you as a teacher, the intentionality of your movement. What is the real goal of this exercise? Are we just trying to make a shape right now, or are we trying to find a deeper connection with your core for the sake of
Because you have some, they just want to move, so you got to kind of let them move, and then you just kind of rein them in, let them move, just let them rein them in a little bit, but you got to keep it fresh too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And this, I used to love that when I was on the floor, like, as a personal trainer and then like, assistant manager and all those things, I watched some trainers work, and there'd be some trainers who would have people do like 15 exercises in the hour. And then there'd be other trainers who did like one exercise in the hour, and they break it down and they have them do a movement prep, and they come back and try it again. And then they do a hip mobility exercise and come back. And then like the hours go, and the person is like sweating, dripping, and all they've done is just dissect the one exercise.
Yeah, I have a family.
Love that.
They come, it's a husband and wife, daughter, son, and daughter-in-law. So we do half cardio and we do half Pilates. Well, the other day, so we don't get a lot of Pilates, but the other day we did all Pilates. We did with the fitness circle, and the husband was like, I'm not sweating, but I am so sore. And then, the next day the wife told me, she was like, yeah, he felt muscles he's never felt before. So, I mean, you can even, that's what I love about Pilates. Yes. Like people think it's simple, it's easy, but when you really fine tune and, do the movements, like, you can not be sweaty, but you're going to be sore the next day.
Yep. Have you been able to get your husband into Pilates? Is he doing?
We cannot work out together. I have an exercise physiology degree. Right. He was an athlete growing up. We butt heads. Like when we first were married, we would drive separately to the gym. He would work out for his 2+ hours. I'm like, hour, I'm done. I'll meet you back at the apartment. Now, in his defense, when I was going through Pilates school, he would be my body, and he did like it. He just doesn't take time for himself, but he, knows he needs it. My boys are interested in it, so I need to start getting them into that because, my oldest, he does rock climbing. My middle does soccer, and they're on the younger side. So, but they've been interested in it too, which I feel like it's also very important for men because, every man I have a couple tight hips. So it's great for everybody.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like in that last sentence you said, it's also very important for men. The only word I heard was also. I was like, also.
It is.
Like, it's
that
important
is true.
for men. Like there's no also.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like it's so funny that like that's how I was like, wait, back up.
Yeah, but once we get them, they stay. So they're fun to work with. And a lot of ours, they come with their wives. So we have like a husband-wife team, which I love working with. They have like that little bit of competitiveness. Yeah.
So entertaining.
Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, people, that is so fun to watch. Like you're fly on the wall and just kind of watch them bicker and cue each other, and
I'm like, I'm just here
or compete with one another, or like how many reps did you do? Like,
yeah, but it's fun to watch that dynamic.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the Core Compassion Project? I've had Jill on, but I'd love from your perspective just to talk about all the awesome stuff that you guys do with that.
Sorry, I'm in my garage and it's getting hot. I am an instructor for Core Compassion Project, and I have been on the board maybe a year. So I am the scholarship coordinator. So what I help do is when we have a recipient, they, fill out their application, it gets sent to me, and then I take it to the board to get it approved. And then from there, I emailed them, I find them a instructor because we have affiliates all over. So we're branching out of North Carolina. So we have some in Detroit. We have some in Denver, California. We also have one, I think, in Connecticut, up north. So, then I kind of help find them an instructor and just kind of help them, find their way. But I think it's such an important thing we do. We're a nonprofit organization. So we, fundraise throughout the year. And what our goal is we gift each recipient a scholarship of 10 private so we can kind of help them rehabilitate. Because a lot of breast cancer survivors, you just like the pre and postnatal, they're like, all right, you're done. We'll see ya. Some get the physical therapy, which is amazing. Some don't. So, we're here to guide them. And with them, everybody is so different. Some it's just stretching. Some, I've had one where she was an athlete growing up, but it was just more mental. Like, can I move? How can I move? So, again, you just meet the body where it's at with the breast cancers. And it is so rewarding because, again, they come in, a lot of them have never done Pilates, so they don't know this world. So they come in just real, nervous. So, we just welcome them in, and it's a private, so it's just one-on-one. And, we do our measurements first, just kind of see, and I just, let their bodies move. But again, it's a lot of breathing, a lot of stretching, the first sessions. So I love it. It's dear, to my heart. I think it's an important issue. Breast cancer is on the rise. It, my uncle has had it, so it doesn't discriminate, age, gender, whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. The one of the programs that I used to be a coordinator for here in Mississauga in Canada was called the Next Step to Active Living. So people who had some kind of life-altering event, car accident, stroke, that sort of thing, their stage 1 is like in the hospital, emergency. Stage 2 was like still in the hospital. Stage 3 is coming back to the hospital, for their physiotherapy, that sort of thing. And then there's this in-between stage where they're not independent enough to do their own thing, but no longer have funding or support from the hospital. And that was the gap that we found, here in Ontario to that there's a need. So they got funding for that. So you guys are basically doing that sort of thing for cancer patients. I think it's such a great initiative. Such like the first time I heard about it, I was like, that is brilliant. And I just want to give that a lot of airtime.
So it's been a labor of love. We've, learned things along the way. I've been an instructor longer than I've been on the board. Like, I think I've been on the board for about a year or so. So I'm pretty recent to that, but it's just a labor of love. And I like to give back to them because they've been through hell and back, and they're here to tell the story. And, again, they'll be real down on themselves. And I'll look at them and I said, you beat cancer's ass. You are strong. And then they, they'll either, tear up, or they're like, oh yeah. So, for them, they just want someone to be, compassionate, to, meet their body where it's at, and, and then take it further. Yeah, exactly.
Be their cheerleader,
sometimes
right?
It's draining, but it's draining in the best way. We take range of motion measurements, 3 times. And I always tell them, like, hey, this is where you were. This is where you are now. And they get so excited because, we don't always see our own progress. So I always shout out their progress. And they're like, oh, and when you put it with numbers, they're like, oh, that's really cool, So it's just a joy to be with them. I sometimes learn more from them than they learn from me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think that, like you're saying about the measurements, that's a special part, because Pilates is not like the bench press where you say like, oh, hey, that's we can, you've gone up 10 pounds this week, sort of thing, right? Like it's so within the movement itself, they're just focusing on the movement, like my leg circle or my whatever, but you don't say, okay, wow, you have 5 more degrees on your leg circle today. So you don't do that. So when you can celebrate like those range of motions, just find those things, then you're right. We do miss the small victories. We definitely need to.
And I love the small victories.
Look at
like
that.
My kids make fun of me because I just get excited about everything. But you gotta enjoy. Thank you. You gotta enjoy the small victories. Especially when you've had cancer or you've had surgery, and you feel like you're starting over sometimes. Like, you need to find the small victories, and people are like, well, this is what it used to be. and like we have to kind of get a different mindset and, meet your body where it's at. I know I keep saying that, but that's important to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could say it, 500 more times. I mean, I don't think that is an overused cliche. I think it's true if someone is
I know
truly
I have to
doing
remind
it.
myself,
You know what I mean? Yeah, right. Right. I mean, small victories. I mean, like that's why I call my business personal victory, right? Like it's not about comparing with other people. It is really just looking at what is my personal, improvement day over day. What are those small
Yeah,
W's,
I
right?
love doing it in personal life, at the studio, with clients. Like you have to enjoy the small victories. Small victories add up to big victories. And a lot of times, I'm wrong about doing this too, but
Absolutely.
we get impatient. We just want the big victory, but we need to celebrate the small steps that got us to that big victory.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Good
I have to remind
reminder.
myself a lot.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Absolutely. Grotz flies. What's going on, everybody? Um, I always ask people like, who is their ideal client, right? So we've talked about Core Compassion Project. We talked about like your like your new moms, your pre and postnatal, all those different things. Like, who does your world like truly stop for? Who is that person that if they walked in today, like I would train you for free
That's
the
a
rest
hard one.
of your life as you walked in? I know it's such a hard question.
Gosh, that is a hard one. Like what lights my fire is postnatal. Like I love all my clients, I
Yeah.
love what I teach, but anytime I talk about pre and postnatal, everyone like how you said, like you just start, smiling and glowing. So that is my jam.
Yeah.
And my schedule hasn't really allowed me to be able to open up to more postnatal because I've been booked with a wait list. But I'm learning some balance, y'all. So I am now going to be all day shift starting in August because I teach 2 nights and 2 days. So I am allotting myself on, Wednesdays to have classes for a prenatal and a postnatal. And I understand, moms are super busy. Like I was one of them. You may not be able to get out. So my goal is to have, an online, workouts for them. So I'm, trying to finish my website. Life is
okay, cool.
a little slow over here with managing the 3 kids. So my goal is to have, an online subscription where they can, do a class, online and have like a library for them and to do, some workshops about, pre and postnatal. But postnatal definitely is, kind of lights my fire.
Sure.
Yeah, that's my thing,
That's your thing.
I like.
It's almost like, sorry. No, I was saying like sometimes it's like asking who's your favorite child, right? Like, I mean, you love all of it. Do you say like, you're my favorite firstborn,
yeah,
you're my favorite daughter?
They put on to me. And my middle child's redheaded. So I'm like, you're my favorite redheaded boy. Or I just, don't answer. And then they think I said yes. My middle kid will say he's the favorite. But as he says, he's the sweetest. So
yeah.
I know
so he might be, but not off the record. Yeah.
They're so different, which I find fascinating. Like you're parented the same way, same parents, and you guys are just so different. Just like, my clients are, so different.
Yep, pretty much. Nice. So with the online class, are you going to do like more like, are you going to develop a course around it and that sort of thing? Are you thinking like down the road with all those pieces,
I just
those
cannot
to it
pinpoint it. Just my goal, what I want is just an online, either a course or, like a workout, where, day 1, day 2. I definitely want like a postnatal course where, this is, what, how to test for diastasis recti, safe exercises for it. So I haven't quite pinpointed it because my problem is I have all these ideas. I want it to be perfect the first time. I don't like messy action. And I know it's not going to be perfect. Right. And so then I get overwhelmed with all that. And then I just kind of shut down a little bit. And I have to remind myself, it's not going to be perfect. You just need to do it. I know.
Laura, that's so funny. That's like, it's so funny that you said that. This is like, this is your like opening up your heart moment here at the 50-minute mark. Like, I don't like messy action. Like, like, yes. Isn't it funny, right? Like, I mean, I like the fact that you said that, because that's real talk, right? Because a lot of times we hear, just go, we got to do it, put it out there, be
No, I want
authentic.
it to be
I don't like do it like that.
perfect.
I actually want
It
to.
doesn't need to be perfect. No one is perfect. But so I know I hold myself back, and I have learned, to kind of let go of some of that slowly. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. I recognize it.
Well,
Exactly.
that
It just
awareness is
takes me
the
a little bit
first
longer
step,
to get there
right?
sometimes than others, but I'll get
Yes.
there. But I've got my goals. But I'm also, raising 3 kids, so
Yeah.
I want to be further along than I am. But I have to remind myself, I'm like, you have 3 small kids, and that's my first priority is, them.
Mhm.
So, it's just gonna take me a little bit longer, and we'll get there. There's no timeline.
Yeah. Well, managing that expectation, and
Mm-hmm.
also from a dad perspective too, right? Like, I've had like dads like me in the space too, where like you want to conquer the
Yes,
world, but then you
and
also want to be
I don't
present for
think
your
dads get
kids.
enough recognition for what they do. I feel like, it's all about, oh, the moms do. I'm like, look what the dads do. Like, there are amazing dads, just like there are amazing mothers. Like, I couldn't do it. I have a great husband, a great partner. Like, we're a tag team. Like, I don't think dads get enough recognition for what they actually do.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. There's well, I mean, sometimes we get away with it because we don't have that
Mm-hmm.
same element of like mom
Mm-hmm.
guilt around certain things. But then there's all these
Mm-hmm.
other different pressures too, right? So like that building an empire type thing out there, but at the same time, it's like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
want my kids to
And
know
it's
me
hard to
while
find
I'm
that
like
balance,
providing
I
for you
think,
guys at the
whether
same
you're a
time. So
mom
maybe
or a
it's gonna.
dad.
Oh yeah,
I've had a hard time finding that balance where, because it used to be more about one area, and
mm-hmm.
everything shifts a little bit, so I try to have that grace. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I just want it done and done well the first time.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where the priorities come in, right? And my wife says all the time, like, when I'm a good employee, I'm a bad mom, and
Mm-hmm.
when I'm
I've
a
heard
good
that.
mom, I'm a
Yes,
bad employee,
gotta
right?
find
Like,
that
you
sweet
got to
spot.
find that spot. So I mean, right. So I mean, if you have this this culture within the studio where it's
Mm-hmm.
conducive to your family life, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
take your time and slowly build things, like you're building it
Mm-hmm.
well as opposed to building it
Thank you.
fast. And I think
I have
you're
to
going to be
remind
in a good
myself that.
spot, right?
But
So,
that's why I love what I do. Like, my clients, I will take a day off to go on a field trip, and they like, no, go do this, and they'll reschedule. Like, they want me to be able to do that,
mhm.
which I love, because a lot of them have been there or they're going through
Yes.
that. So we've just have created this really great atmosphere up there. That's just, it's welcoming. I can't wait to go to work most days.
Mhm.
I've never dreaded going,
Yeah.
because I love where I go. I love who I work with. I love my clients. And it's
Mhm.
going to be a hard transition. Like I said, I'm,
Yeah.
transitioning from nights to all day. So I'm leaving behind my evening clients. So that's been hard,
Yes.
or
Right.
it will be.
But you know what? It is going to be hard. Like, no two ways about that. It's definitely going to be hard. But at the same time, I like the fact that you mentioned that for all of the people who are watching this or are going to watch the replay, setting those
Mm-hmm.
boundaries is so key for one. And also, you know, having those
Mm-hmm.
times where it's like, I'm doing this for my family, or I'm going to take, it's the temptation is to continue to keep going. Like, I love my studio. I love this culture. I love these people. So it's easy for me to
Mm-hmm.
go a year and not take a vacation day. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's not like
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Exactly. Like, it
work
doesn't
in
feel
that
like work.
sense, right? But all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like work, and all of a sudden you're just like burnt
Yes.
out
And
because
I've
you actually
been
didn't
there.
rest.
I have been
Right?
there.
So
And, COVID honestly
yeah,
taught us some good lessons. Like, I would work, 9, 10 hours a day, no break. And so COVID taught me to,
easy,
slow
right?
down, which I needed that lesson. I will just go, go, go. So COVID, did help me with that. And kind of, so when we came back, I kind of redid my schedule a little bit, where I'm not working 9, hours a day, no break. So we kind of, reined it in and found some boundaries. I'm terrible with boundaries. Like, I just want to help everybody. So it kind of helped me,
Yeah,
set a little bit of boundaries.
yeah. I just love,
Well,
Laura,
thank
how
you.
just real you are with everything you
I'm an
said
open
there.
book.
It's like, I mean, like, honestly, I just want, yeah, like, just give me airtime to that, because like, and people are very authentic when they come on here. But that sense of like, like you said, like, I don't like messy action. I want things
One
to
of
be
my
perfect. Like,
good but bad
you know,
qualities about me
like,
is I'm too honest. Like,
it's fun.
I don't lie. I'm too honest.
Yeah.
But you know, people love that. Sometimes, you know, I have a love hate with that. But you know,
For
I think
sure.
because you know I'm real. You know, I don't try to act like I'm something I'm not. You know, my clients, you know, appreciate that. Like I've kept clients for 10 plus years. You know, they've seen me, you know, through my stages of life, and you know,
Right.
I don't try to, you know, pretend, you know, I'm something I'm not. Yeah, I've just always been pretty honest. So either people love that about me, or they don't. But you know, I've always had like, I'm
Right.
very thick shell, but I'm actually very sensitive. So I think that's why I'm just, you know, I try to like turn it off sometimes and, you know, not let people know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, because my mom, you know, I wore a back brace, you know, in middle school, and she was like, I don't know how that didn't just like scar you for life. And I was like, I didn't care what people thought. They actually thought I got into a car accident. That I was like, nope, just scoliosis.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if people have been with you for 10 years and you're doing your thing, then like obviously you have enough people with you that
Yeah, I
surround
have
you.
to remind
And
myself that because, you know,
yeah,
I'm my
sure
worst
not.
critic,
So
as I think we all are. But, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself, you know, you're doing something right.
sure.
You know, sometimes, you know, I don't talk elegantly. I stutter at my words. But you know what? My clients are trained to know what I'm really trying to say. You know, I don't know how to count some days, but, you know,
Nice.
they all know that, and they think it's endearing most days. Just two more. That's my go-to. Two more. Just two more.
Yeah.
And somebody
Just
was like,
more,
why do you
yeah.
always say two more? And I said,
So
well,
funny.
it'll either get you to where I wanted you, or two more won't hurt you. So that's my philosophy. Two more.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, thank you for having
thank you
me.
so much
I
for
was
your
very
time.
excited
This
to
like
be here today.
well,
Yeah, I would
I'm
love
looking
that.
forward to
I would
having you
love
back
that.
as well. I want to hear what's happening with your online courses and everything that's going to come out
You know,
polished and
it's not
perfect the
going to
first
be, and I
time
just have to
out.
know
And
that. You know,
like,
I've been working on a website for
there
way
you
too long,
go.
and someone, you know, told me pretty much, pretty
19
much. And
years.
someone told me like a website's never gonna
Yeah.
be finished. You're always gonna be working on it. I'm like, yeah. I just and like they just need to know what you do, who you are, and how to
Yeah.
contact you. So I'm finalizing
Yeah,
a
for sure.
website, and then we'll take little baby steps. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, one of the things that's kind of like continue the conversation. One of the liberating things has been for me, because I like you, I want to have things polished, and I've kind of gotten over that. Is just coming to terms with the fact that no one's gonna see it anyways. Like you get to a point where I'm gonna launch this, and you think it needs to be perfect because the world's gonna see it. It's like they're not just gonna discover you for
Right.
6-4 months after it's out anyway. So you can kind of make your adjustments
Yes.
on the fly while it's out there, while it's live.
Yeah, and the clients I'm
And
targeting,
like,
you know,
yeah,
they may not know a lot about postnatal Pilates. So if I make a mistake, it may not be, you know, blatantly obvious to them where it would be to, you know, another instructor. So I have to
great,
keep that in mind of my audience, you know.
for
I'm
sure.
not trying to train other instructors right
Yep.
now. I would love to, you know, maybe one day have a pre and postnatal certification or whatnot. You know, I did
Sure.
some postnatal pictures when my daughter was 6 months, so I could like make a book. So this book has been 7 years in the making. So yeah, I just have all these like seeds and ideas, and
Right.
I have to remind myself, you know, slow and steady. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
You
just
know,
raise some good
the
kids
world
in the
needs good
meantime, and
people,
you'll
so
be
I'm
good to
trying
go.
to do that and be an example. So, you know, some days aren't perfect, but
Yeah.
they're not going to remember those unperfect days. I don't.
Yeah, it's true. Wise words,
yes,
my
I
friend.
appreciate
Thank
you
you so
having me. This
much.
was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Stefan, I think, read my comment about Deborah's drop today and called you
That's
Deborah
okay.
instead of Laura, but that's,
you know,
that's fine. It's all love. Yeah, it's all good. It's all love. So thank you to everyone who joined us today, and we are
thank you guys.
out.
Everyone have an awesome
Thank you, my
Wednesday.
friend.
All right, thanks you too.
Yes. All right, take care. Thanks again, Laura.